All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Bitcoin Brief with your host, Tone Vays. Coming to you live this Friday morning, September 18th, with the one and only NVK from ColdCard and OpenDime. We got a really jam-packed show, and it looks like just us. Jimmy's a little bit MIA. Hopefully, he will join us later on. And still trying to get Leah to host the show one of these days, and Christine will, of course, be back for future episodes. All right, Rodolfo, how you doing, man?
Hey, dude, thanks for having me. I'm good. It's been a while, and Leah is on the other side of the planet now, so the times are difficult, eh?
I know. It's like yeah, back in the day, Jimmy used to wake up at like 6, 7 a.m. to do the show, which would be fine for Leah because now it's getting late for her.
That's right.
Anyway, we'll work it out. We'll work it out. All right, man, we got a jam-packed show. But before we begin, give us a little bit of an update on what is going on in your world and what's going on with ColdCard. Let me get the screen share going right here, and here we go. What's new?
Oh man, we updates and ColdCard shipping lots, and we're shipping the Block Clock Mini soon, and working on more hardware. It's just like never stops. So yeah, okay, I guess we could just jump into this new story. The Spectre is this very cool open source multi-sig desktop wallet that talks directly to Bitcoin Core. So if you didn't want to run your own sort of Electrum server and all that stuff, essentially you just download Bitcoin Core, you download Spectre, and boom, it works. and it's like full privacy because it's a full node. So they work with ColdCard and other hardware wallets. I don't know. I've been enamored and pretty impressed with this project. So I'm trying to give them a bit of attention. It's really, really nice. So yeah, they have probably a new version coming out this week.
Yeah, sounds really cool. I'm gonna pause the screen share for a second because I have my OpenDime right there on my desk. I have a couple of them. Thanks again for doing some product sponsoring at the Unconfiscatable conference, where we wish to see you back in April. And now we're going to jump back to screen share. And since you did mention multisig, it seems that some multisigs aren't as aren't as robust as others, as Jameson Lop has a little bit of a blood right there over your coin card, ColdCard. I love the fix that you did. I actually didn't get the joke at first, but the second time I looked at it, it's pretty damn funny. So what is the multi-sig situation, and what was he expecting?
Oh, yeah. So ColdCard does very sort of like it's like a next generation way of doing multisig. We check for addresses, we check for a bunch of stuff so that you can't be robbed by man in the middle or malware on the computer, right? But there is limits to the transaction size in bytes, right, that you want to sign. Lop went a little crazy there, and he tried to sign a multisig of, I think it was like a 3 out of 3 with 100 inputs on the transaction. So as expected and documented on the ColdCard, we don't support those because of all these heuristics that we do and the sort of limitation of the hardware. Yeah, and nobody should be using Bitbox One. It's a deprecated device that has no security. It's pound.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. No one should be using which one?
Bitbox One.
Oh, Bitbox One. I remember Bitbox.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah, that's a completely pound device. Please don't use that.
Oh, and it has green across the board.
Exactly, right? So he was actually joking on the tweets that, like, this is not an article about security, right? So so please be careful. This is not an endorsement of unsecured devices.
Right. So 100 UTXO multisig is generally somewhat unrealistic for a normal user.
Yeah. completely. Even if you DCA once a week for a whole year, it's only 52 inputs. It doesn't really even get to 100. But like reality is like, there is no way around batching, right? Like everybody's going to have to batch UTXOs eventually, even for fees on the network.
All right, so let's move on to some real stories. We're going to begin, of course, as always, with some DeFi and some shitcoins. This is kind of scary. So I don't know if you heard, but like, I mean, look, I don't know how much you know about Uniswap. I'm not, a DeFi person. So my understanding of Uniswap is literally a unicorn and not in a good way. So Uniswap is like a platform for people to, I guess, stake their shitcoins, mostly Ethereum, and in order to get Ponzi money. Is that like the general?
Yeah, that's essentially my impression is, I mean, all these and all the food ones, right? Like there's the cake, the sushi.
Right. But are they, but here's where the confusion is, right? Like some of these are platforms for you to stake and get Ponzi money, and some of them are just Ponzi money. And then many of them are now becoming both because they see how much Ponzi money they can get if they're also the platform and not just the Ponzi money.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is there's too much dumb money on the table, right? And there is some smart people there that just don't want to leave that money on the table, so they come up with ways of taking the money from the stupid, and essentially that's the story of Ethereum.
Right, but they're also giving away money to the stupid, which is because other stupid is willing to buy it. So here's what seems to be happening. So Uniswap was actually backed by and was it? I want to say Andreessen Horowitz, but like I want to fact check myself here. Yeah, Andreessen Horowitz, Union Square Ventures, Paradigm. So they all invested in this thing, and it's been around for a while now, probably over a year, but only now are they releasing their scam coin. Their unlicensed, unregistered security shitcoin is being released now. Now, here's what I don't know. I don't know if this was the plan to release this token, or this is something they decided recently to release it because their competition, like SushiSwap platform, is released a token and became very, very rich. So, so that's one of my questions. But basically, if you're going to release a shitcoin after your product has already existed, I guess the most honest way to do it is to just give it to your users based on how much usage those people have done. This is what Pepe Cash did back in the day, if you remember the whole story of Pepe Cash. So whoever had like the most rare Pepes ended up with Pepe Cash that they could then sell. So now there's tweets like this. A friend of mine who provided liquidity on Uniswap version 1 for a long time just received $500,000 worth of Uniswap at these prices. And I'm not sure that person even like when they started knew that there was going to be a token. I don't know if the token.
I think it's like they're using the same methods that crack drug dealers do. They give a little bit of crack so that you get hooked, and then you come back for more, and then you're screwed.
Right. So basically, now they're giving away this token to basically everyone that's been using the platform in order to, stop their competition. So I don't know if YFI is their direct competition, but this governance token, it actually has no usage. This is either a security of the company or this is just insane. And this is just going to encourage more stupid money to enter this space. Because all of these are just Ponzi's. There is nothing there.
But that's what people want.
No business behind it other than printing money.
That's what people want. They want like free scammy money. Like it's listen, it's like this is what people wish for, right? Like, and it's gonna keep on happening. It's just again too much dumb money on the table, and nobody goes to jail. So
Well, that's going to lead into our next topic. No one's going to, people should be going to jail, but hey, every time you say something like that, you're called a statist and promoting the government. But yeah, this is what you get. And then you end up with, you know, things like Plus Token, things like BitConnect, things like OneCoin, and these are no different.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta start closing some tabs because this way, because my computer is. I have my new laptop. It's literally in my hand, and I've just been like.
I don't know. That thing looks like a monster to me. I saw it. There were like 50 screens on the same device.
It is. So speaking of this token, here are my general questions. Anytime a new token comes up, these are like not opinionated questions. These are the factual questions that I want to know. Is this token reliant on another blockchain like Ethereum? How are these tokens distributed? In this case, it's clearly an airdrop. How much are the founders keeping? That's a pretty important question because there was one that came out the other day where the founders get to keep like 95% and everyone is going crazy over this token.
That's right.
How is it being mined or minted going forward? And who the leader is? So these are my general factual questions that I need to know in order to know which scam category or which shitcoin category to put the token in. But then there are actually more intelligent questions. And this came in a reply. Hopefully it loads eventually. Here it is. Where this person replied, more importantly, what problem is it trying to solve? What use cases is it satisfying? Who is the user? Well, we know who the users are. How can it create and then capture value in the long term? And none of these DeFi projects have a way of answering any of these questions other than bullshit, except who the users are. These are your gullible crypto people.
Yep. Dumb money.
Dumb money. Yeah. All right. We're going to close this. So we're sticking with it. So $1 billion worth of Bitcoin has been locked up in Ethereum, and somehow this is a good thing. So here's my understanding of how this stupidity works.
Oh, hang on. This is silly. It's all bullshit marketing. There is no Bitcoin on Ethereum. There is some entity out there that has Ethereum that has a lot of Bitcoin, claiming that whatever token is backed by this Bitcoin. Right. There is no Bitcoin on Ethereum.
Right.
Zero.
Oh, you know, I'm with you. In my explanation, I was going to hopefully make that clear. So here's how this stupidity works. You have Bitcoin that is actually valuable, and you give it to some guy that you met on Twitter because he has a frog on a profile and you like it. So you give him your Bitcoin. He takes your Bitcoin. He then gives you some WBTC token, telling you that this token is backed by Ethereum in their smart contract. And then you stake this WBTC token to earn Ponzi money in yield farming. Is that pretty much the gist of it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. So have fun with that. We all know how that's going to end. And because of all of these things, Ethereum smashes records as DeFi hype sends transactions and miner revenue soaring. So considering the fact that the miner revenue is soaring, I've been saying this for a while now. I can't wait to see a text message from Vitalik going, guys, can you all stop mining?
It's, I mean, this thing is completely centralized, right? Like, it's totally centralized.
Right, but you remember that famous text message, guys?
Yes, yeah, totally.
There's going to be another one saying, guys, can you all stop mining?
I mean, it's so centralized that the guy managed to do a rollback. They don't call it a rollback. They have a, what was it, like a state, irregular state, chain state or something like that?
I don't want to dig all that out, but hey, look at this. So here's what your Ethereum transaction now looks like. So Ethereum transactions are absolutely through the roof. What is this? Uniswap is now crushing Ethereum. for its transactions. Who's in second place? This isn't like ranked very well. I'm not sure how it's ranked, but who's this dark red? Balancer? What the hell is, or no, not Balancer, sorry, Curve. Never heard of that one. Anyway, so here are your Ethereum transactions. And what happens when your Ethereum transactions are going through the roof? Well, you get this, a tweet from Abra. We are temporarily disabling withdrawals of Ethereum ERC20 tokens due to sudden rise in Ethereum gas fees. With the fluctuating gas fees, the transactions are taking an extraordinarily long time to settle on the blockchain. The withdrawals will be turned back on as fluctuations settle. So a couple of things to say on this, and then I'll get NVK's take. So first of all, like Abra, look, Abra's not a scam. Okay, they don't have a scam token, as far as I know. Well, like I can't keep track of which freaking companies are launching tokens these days. So Abra does not have a scam token. So Abra is not a scam. Their CEO is not a scammer. But Abra has been my punching bag like Coinbase for a long time. Because from the first moment I heard about Abra, I believe they have pivoted their business at least half a dozen times. From remittance to competing with local Bitcoins to God knows what. I didn't even know they were doing shit on top of Ethereum. So look, just at some point you have to give it up. Every pivot you do is just almost sillier than the prior one. And we've been like trying to educate that each of your businesses will not work.
So the problem is, right, like hard money is useless to middleman, right? That's the ultimate problem that Bitcoin has, right? Like it's very hard to build middleman businesses, right, with hard money because it's hard money, right? You can't create a bunch of derivatives inside it because it's hard money. So all these middleman businesses that are trying to find yields, they have to use Ethereum, right? Because Bitcoin doesn't have those features. Maybe you can do it on liquid Bitcoin or something. For now, they're gonna, who knows? I think they're probably gonna go that direction. But so all these companies keep on trying to come up with ways of paying some interest so that they can, essentially hold the Bitcoin for their tiny sort of $10 owning customer in a developing country or something, right? The problem with that is that they are sitting on top of a network that doesn't work, right? Ethereum is completely broken, it's garbage, and it's going to die someday. Who knows? Maybe it won't ever die. Maybe it just stays sort of fucking up forever and entertaining us. So you're going to run into these problems. You're going to run into a network that rolls back, a network that the fees go up like that, and then you can't transact because those contracts need money to transact. It's like, it's all convoluted, like, Rufberg Goldberg's machines. So anyways, it's Ethereum.
Yeah. So apparently, like literally half the people watching us right now are DeFi shitcoiners. And they're
That's
all
funny.
Do you know what Curve is, Rodolfo?
No idea.
Right. And Rodolfo's been in the space since when? I don't want to dox you here.
A long time.
CoinKite, again, I don't want to dox you.
CoinKite is going to be 10 next year.
Right. And CoinKite at one point was doing what? More than half of the world's like transactions at one point?
No, like, I mean, we had like, it was big. We had like a good chunk of Bitcoin in deposit back then.
Yeah. So when you guys say that we are clueless when it comes to the space, no, we understand the space exactly well. And because we understand the space so well, there's absolutely no reason as to learn what each of the 5,000 coins on CoinGecko does, because we know how they're going to end, because we've seen it all before.
Yep.
So
it's all these things, nothing is new.
Right. Speaking of nothing is new, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, these guys are just rebuilding the same stupid. Right. It's like Ethereum is just trying to do exactly like there is nothing new with like creating all this financialization of like counterparty risk. this is all shit that already exists, right? Like these guys are just sort of like all excited about shit that it's already like you can go on your trading thing on your online banking and just buy it.
All right. So speaking of former stupid, so check this one out. Man. So this news broke this week. Unregistered ICO issuer agrees to disable tokens, disable their tokens, and pay a penalty for distribution to harmed investors. So which startup, which ICO was this? This was the Unikrn ICO. I don't know if you remember this one.
No.
But this was the Unikrn ICO, and this just happened in 2015, 2020. Now, let's go back a year, maybe 2 years, to August 17th, where Mark Cuban backed Unikrn ICO hit by a class action lawsuit. Now, let's go back a little bit further to 2017. And here is my little clip that I'm going to play. Hope you guys can hear. And you can't. That's my bad. Why can't you hear? Shit.
Oh, I can hear Jimmy.
Oh, I can hear Jimmy. Wait a minute. Is this my screw up? Well, this is correct. Where's the audio? Shit. Give me a second. I knew I forgot to test something. This has
He doesn't have blockchain expertise. Why did you know?
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yes.
Oh, I can hear Jimmy. Oh, I can hear Jimmy. Wait a minute. Is this my?
Oh wait, I think.
Oh, this is correct. I just tweeted at Mark Cuban and my shit.
Where is that coming from?
I don't know. Somehow we're also getting the other.
Okay, well, wait. Let me try this. Okay, audio's working. Give me a second. All right. So this is about Mark Cuban and the Unikrn ICO in 2017. Let's listen.
I just tweeted at Mark Cuban, and my tweet basically said, either he's about to be scammed, which is bad, or he's about to scam people, which is worse. Mark Cuban clearly doesn't understand blockchains. He doesn't understand Bitcoin. And that's okay. That's not his expertise. He's a busy man. He did amazing things during the .com area. That was his expertise. He's running a basketball team. That is his expertise. But he doesn't have blockchain expertise. Now, he can easily get some blockchain expertise by making a phone call to some very knowledgeable people. But if he's going to listen to people like Vitalik, if he's going to listen to people like ICO scammers, he's going to make huge mistakes. And this is why people that go outside of the area of expertise usually lose a lot of money. This is going to end very, very badly. It can get real ugly. Now, the craziest thing is he's out there just a week ago talking about Bitcoin being a bubble, even though the Bitcoin price is what, double what it was in the beginning of the year, maybe 2.5 times. Yet he's about to invest in an ICO on top of Ethereum that has gone up 20 times this year. The value of Ethereum, its blockchain has gone exponentially huge. And that doesn't seem to bother him. So at this point, I hope Mark Cuban doesn't end up scamming people so that he's liable. I would prefer it if only he gets scammed for tens of millions of dollars. And then maybe he'll remember my tweet warning him about doing something this stupid.
Right. So nothing has changed. And I don't know if you saw that tweet from your countryman, Brad Mills, who him and his friends lost 150 Bitcoin in that Unikrn project because Mark Cuban was supposed to be the smart guy to make it work.
Well, he's not my countryman, but I mean
Canada. AJ,
Oi.
welcome back.
Thanks. But yeah, I mean, I'll just comment real quickly on Mark Cuban. I just want to contrast this guy who seems to I mean, he's obviously been on Shark Tank, and I don't know what it is about people on Shark Tank and ICOs, but they seem very attracted. I think you met a guy, Kevin Harrington or something like that.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he was also doing an ICO. We also know Vinny Lingham. He's on the South African version. He's done a lot of ICOs. There something about ICO seems to attract them, and I can't imagine that it's a good thing, and it doesn't speak well to all of their co-hosts that are on that show. I want to contrast him to somebody like Michael. What's his last name? Saylor, who's done the research, who actually understands what Bitcoin is for, and is doing fantastic as a result. And instead, you have people like Mark Cuban who don't understand anything about what's going on, and he makes a scam. He's probably going to have to pay a big fine to the SEC. I mean, the worst case scenario, I guess, is he could go to prison or something like that, but that's not SEC's domain.
Well, okay,
but,
Mark Cuban was just promoting, and Mark Cuban just invested in it, but like by the fact that he's invested in it, it was like a de facto promotion.
That's right. So here's the issue. It's like there is a big difference between people who have businesses who try to make quick money, right? A lot of Cubans stuff is more of like a sort of a flipping kind of mentality, which is very sort of aligned with how Ethereum works, right? While you have like guys like Saylor who try to build a lasting business, the guy's been around at that company for over 20 years, and like having that Bitcoin mentality, it's hard money. Right, I want to keep this stuff for a long time and build a lasting business. When you're trying to make quick sort of bucks, the risk of doing something that is illegal or whatever, it's much higher.
Yeah. Hey, let's get to more interesting news, guys. This is an article by Preston. I haven't had time to read it, but basically he's been warning about stop printing tokens. You're gonna get in trouble. For a long time. I will defend Damon John, who's also on that show with Mark Cuban, because I was at a conference where a Bitcoin conference where Damon John was a speaker, and the first thing he said when he got on stage, I don't understand this stuff, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about something. So Damon John, shout out.
Yeah, he's smart enough to not get involved in this stuff, and some of the other guys on that show too, but. Man, the track record is just not very good so far,
Right. We're not going to talk much about regulation, but these are, stories these days. So they want to roll out, like, instead of a company getting 50 bit licenses across every state, they want to roll out something that's a little more uniform to make it easier. And Kraken makes the news of becoming the first bank. Again, we're not experts at financial law here, even though I kind of pretend to be. But we're going to skip this. So since you guys have been mentioning Michael Saylor, let's skip. Well, we're not fully skipping it. We're going to get back to the Andreas controversy in a minute. But let's jump over to that. Just some of the comments that Michael Saylor said in that podcast with Pump. Basically, here's one. If Bitcoin is treated as a treasury reserve asset based on our model, 99.98% of all transactions will be off-chain and assets at risk will be in cold storage. 99.92% of the time. I have no idea where he's getting these stats, but I think he's just making them up. But he's just trying to make a point, and he understands this. And someone like Roger Ver doesn't seem to still understand it. That's one comment. This was actually one of my favorite comments that John Cavallo pointed out from that he said in a podcast. The fact that Bitcoin went through hard forks and we saw that the community would defend Bitcoin, that's what gives a person like me confidence to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. And we're going to get to this about some of the people that were defending Bitcoin during its hard time of 2017. And most of those people are hardcore Bitcoiners today. You can demonize them as maximalists all you want, but most of the people that that were on the opposite side became immediate shitcoiners. And there were other people that kind of stood on the sidelines that were scared to take a side. And some of those people have not done very well either. And we'll get to that in a minute. These were the people that Michael Saylor credited with helping him on the path to being a Bitcoiner. We have Saifedean, Anatop, Andreas, Pump, whose show he was on, Dan Held, Parker Lewis. I'm not, I mean, I know real VJ, I never met him, but I know
DJ Boyapati, yeah.
Who is that? Say again?
DJ Boyapati. He's been on like Tom Wood's show. He's libertarian, lives out, west, and yeah.
I know of him, but I'm not crazy familiar with his work. And I'm not familiar with Lynn Alden. So I think she's just like a money manager, investor, hedge fund manager. 3 of these people are at the Unconfiscatable conference. Saifedean, Dan Held, and Parker Lewis is coming to the next one. So that's great. Would have been great to have, Jimmy Song and Tom Vays on this list. But maybe,
I don't think he watches our show. That's the thing. That's a sad reality.
I know we got to get Safe on. I tried getting Safe on this show this morning. I texted him yesterday, but he couldn't make it. Yeah, so these are the people he credited. And I just want to point out, and we're going to get to the Andreas story in a minute, but I really like his comments. And he seems to understand exactly what Bitcoin is. And hopefully he's not going to become a shitcoiner.
Yeah, and not only that, what he said was absolutely correct in the sense that Bitcoin is anti-fragile, and we've been talking about this since 2017. When you ward off an attack like SegWit 2x, which was an enormous attack with a lot of money behind it, a lot of momentum, and a lot of very influential people in the space coming up against it, and you ward off an attack like that, you get the attention of people like Michael Saylor and saying, you know what, I think my $250 million is going to be safe. Putting it into this, if they can ward off an attack by all these people that have billions of dollars that are willing to go to crazy lengths in order to put in their program, and they manage to ward it off, that's a safe place for my money. And I think a lot of people have recognized that, and this is why Bitcoin continues to go up, is these giant events where Bitcoin proves over and over again that it's resilient, not just resilient, but also anti-fragile.
I just love the fact that they bought this much Bitcoin and the price didn't move. It's like the depth is pretty cool right now. It's amazing.
Okay, so now I'm going to pose a question to you guys, and I'll probably answer it last because I always answer these things first when I host. Which people do you credit to getting you to buy that first Bitcoin? So before you bought your first Bitcoin, which people were you convinced you, and what percentage is sort of who do you give most credit, second most, third most kind of thing?
I mean, mine's pretty easy. I think it's 100% Satoshi Nakamoto, because I didn't know who anybody was when I bought my first Bitcoin. I literally found out about it, saw the 21 million limit, and I was like, I got to get some. And then it was too annoying, so I delayed it for 8 months after I first learned about it. But I bought, it came in the news again. I'm like, oh crap, I need to buy it, and then I did. But I literally knew none of the developers or people involved. I literally just knew about the properties of Bitcoin and not,
But how did you discover it? Did you discover it on your own, or did someone send you this paper saying, "Hey, Jimmy, you should take a look at this"?
It was literally on my own. I saw it on a website called Slashdot, which isn't that popular anymore, but was a big one back in 2011 when I first heard about it.
All right, very cool. What about you?
Bitcoin Talk and Slashdot. There was nobody.
Okay, so you discovered on your own through a Bitcoin Talk blog.
So I don't know if how much you know about Slashdot, but like pretty much before Hacker News, like every nerd, everybody who was sort of like related to tech, that was not like business, right, would have been sort of following news stories on Slashdot. And the Bitcoin paper did sort of explode in there. And there was a Bitcoin Talk as well at the time. So I think a lot of us found it that way. It was before there were shills, Bitcoin shills.
And there wasn't content being created like there is now. I mean, this is what Nick's point is. Content creation moves the needle. These are all people that actually write books and articles and podcasts and all this other stuff. That matters. And there wasn't any back then.
In those days, the price discovery was the IRC. And you had to go meet with some dude at Starbucks with cash.
See, I was too scared for that, which is why I bought mine on Mt. Gox. But yeah.
Right. Well, I was around for that meeting a dude in like in a Starbucks. I was also around for meeting a dude in a condemned building. That was not smart, but it worked out. Anyway, so for me, it was at least 70% Max Kaiser. So, which is why Max Kaiser gets a little bit of a pass from me. But I also love the fact that Max Kaiser is now a full Bitcoiner again. And apparently Michael Saylor also mentioned Max Kaiser. I haven't had a chance to watch that podcast with Pump.
Max is great.
It was good?
No, Max is great. I mean, like he's been doing like great service. It's same with Trace. It's unfortunate that Trace had a little slip. but Trace was how do they call it, Giga Chad before it was cool. Like he was talking about this stuff about treasuries, like Jesus Christ, like over 10 years ago.
Right. Well, I didn't know about Trace until after I was already getting into Bitcoin. But before I got into Bitcoin, it was mostly Max Kaiser. And then when I started looking for other content, it was actually James D'Angelo. Like I really liked James D'Angelo's Bitcoin 101 Blackboard series back in the day. It was before he went off the rails. He was actually
this was 2013. Yeah, he did some good work then, and then I don't know what happened to him, but he's one of these non-technical people that go crazy with something else.
I find that one of the biggest problems with not being at least technical-ish in Bitcoin is that you're gonna get bamboozled eventually. If you don't, there is really not a huge way around that. You're gonna find yourself in a quagmire because you know, like you're not gonna be able to get out of that without trusting somebody else to explain to you. But when you trust somebody else to explain to you, they'll take you in the direction that they want you to take you in. Like you're not by yourself anymore.
Yeah, well, I do want to move on because I think everyone wants us to move on.
Wait. We need to toot our own horn, Toad, right? Like we're making content, and hopefully there's other people that are coming into Bitcoin because of us. Come on.
Yeah, well, I hope so. But I was also going to say that what you guys just said about not being technical, I think that's actually a huge thing. And that might have been one of the reasons why I completely stayed away from shitcoins. I'm not as technical as many people, but I'm more technical than guys like Roger and probably Trace because I did do computer science. I was coding in the past. And I also spent almost a decade working with Wall Street developers. And I know how smart some of the best developers in the world are. So from the moment I came into this space, I was actually, and one of my jobs was to literally know which developer is good at what on Wall Street, because I'm dealing with 20 developers and I gotta like project manage a lot of the stuff that they're doing and decide who's working on what, even though I'm not a very good developer. But that ability to like know who the smart developers are and who to actually listen to completely saved me in the space. All right. So let's move on to our final topic, which is basically blowing up Twitter. And this is where I'm going to play a few more. So this Giancarlo tweet from the other day, from about 2 days ago, kind of set things off, and based on these comments from Andreas. So let's go ahead and hear this.
Biggest threats for Bitcoin and open blockchains is fragmentation and ideological rigidity within the community. A lot of people feel that their view of what Bitcoin is the only correct view and are actively hostile towards people who hold different views about what it could be or is. And they act as gatekeepers, actively discouraging people from adopting Bitcoin if they don't follow the same ideological patterns. So balkanization, as we call it, and I grew up in the Balkans, so I know exactly what that's like, this kind of tribalism where there is only one true coin and there's only one true interpretation of what that coin means and one political ideology that comes with a bunch of other criteria that have nothing to do with currency, but are aligned with the politics of whoever is speaking at the time. The biggest threats for Bitcoin and open blockchains is fragmentation.
It's revolving. So look, we have a couple of other things. Do we want to just like talk about this and then move on to the next set of like tweets, or do I want to introduce all of them and talk? What do you guys think?
Let's start with this one, because for me, I think he talks about it and he stops making sense as soon as he talks about open blockchains. But the idea that balkanization is this thing where you have one authoritarian ruler ruling over everybody, that's the exact opposite of balkanization. Exactly. Balkanization is when you split off because you don't like what other people are doing. This is what altcoins have been doing for a long time, since 2011, as a matter of fact. He makes it sound like balkanization means like Sovietization or something like that. That's the word he really should have used if that's the analogy that he wanted to use. But besides that, the idea that this is the biggest threat for Bitcoin is people that have this ideology that are trying to uniformly enforce it. What is he doing? That's a question for me. What are you doing then? What are you doing by saying that? Well, you're kind of saying everybody should be open and say that everybody else is okay, in which case you're enforcing your views on everybody else. So to me, his comment doesn't make much sense here. I love Andreas. I love what he's been doing for the space, and I'll always be grateful for a lot of the stuff that he's explained. But this is not, I mean, he's just not making much sense here. It's, if you're saying that the biggest threat is that there are these people that believe this and they're the threat, and that particular belief is that they're not open to everybody. Well, if you're being intolerant of those people, then you're kind of being a hypocrite.
Like,
so
the problem is like Bitcoin doesn't give a shit. It's like the whole point of this project is that there is no gatekeepers. Anyone can do whatever they want with the Bitcoin. This is such a false narrative, right? That there is no gatekeepers in Bitcoin. It's a voluntary system, right? And it's an adversarial voluntary system. Like, of course, there's going to be competing interests that want to take it in a different direction, and it's always going to be this sort of war of ideas. But what really annoys me about this whole thing with Andreas is that like he literally makes money from scam conferences, right? Like his whole thing now, like he pivoted to Ethereum, right? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. It's like when you show up at scam coin conferences and you validate the scams, even indirectly, right? Like you can't expect, like people to not say stuff. I mean, some people do say things in a tone or choice of words that can be a little bit too rough. But I mean, it's not like you're not validating the scams. You are, right? I think it's a little disingenuous, right, to sell it this way. If your shtick is that you're going to make money out of validating scams, well, then be open about it and own it, right? Like you can't live in both worlds, right? Like it's like you either like this sort of trusted person who sort of like calls out the scams and sort of try to help the noobs, or you're on the other side and you're validating sushi and cake, right? If you're validating sushi and cake, I mean, you know, people should call you out because you're not a trusted party.
Yeah, and look, I speak at a lot of these shitcoin conferences as well, but I don't get paid to be there, and I'm there to try and convince these people not to be shitcoiners. Like my presentations are literally like the ICO bubble at like ICO presentations.
There is a lot of people that get paid by shitcoin conferences to shit on shitcoins. That's fine. I mean, look at Pierre. Like Pierre works for Kraken. Kraken is a shitcoin casino, but all he does all day is shit on the shitcoins. That's a fair, like, you know what I mean? That's a good thing.
Yeah, the good thing is Kraken doesn't have its own shitcoin, which is where I draw the line. I'm usually okay with companies that let you trade shitcoins. I was kind of okay with Shapeshift until they decided to release their own shitcoin.
Right.
So I'm usually okay with a lot of these companies until they start releasing a shitcoin. And when they do, it's pretty much over. Okay, so there were other issues with this entire mess. So I commented on this as well because like he's using the term Bitcoin where it feels like he should be using the term crypto space, but he's not ready to say the word crypto space, and he's still using the word Bitcoin. And this is where some of the things...
the hint was in open Bitcoin and open blockchains, right? Like that's his way of getting around it and mentioning Bitcoin while really talking about the cryptocurrency space.
I don't know where an open blockchain is.
Well, I think that's what he means is all altcoins. Open blockchain is any altcoin.
Okay, so here's something I do want to comment on when Andreas says, I am accused of taking bribes and secret financing, often from different contradictory sources to, you know, and then like people are calling him all kinds of names. Oh, there was another tweet where he was talking about all the derogatory names people are calling him. I think it was this one here. So I'm not going to say some of these because I don't want my YouTube channel banned. Okay, so I just want to point something out. If some anonymous Twitter handle is calling you anything, that doesn't count. Now, it's possible that there are people like maybe I don't think Pierre or John would call him any of those words. But if it's someone that is reputable, that could be held accountable for calling you that, then it's like bad. But if some anonymous frog is calling you these words, because I've heard it all. If some anonymous frog is calling you this, you can't then, I don't think it's right to go on Twitter and say that Bitcoin, like people are, you know, doing that. What do you guys think?
I think that critique is fair, but at the same time, he doesn't say exactly who said any of this stuff, but he's sort of like weaving it into a narrative to make it sound like it's the Bitcoin maxis that are doing this, right. And you know, poor me. I get what he's saying. It sucks to be called all of those things, but I mean, he's been in the space for what, like 7 years as a public figure.
A little more.
You're gonna. I've only, you know, you and I, Tone, have only really been doing this for like what, 4 or 5 years, and we've been called everything in the book, and we've been accused of being Blockstream shills and, you know, maxis or whatever, and all sorts of names, and you know, yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. That comes with being a public figure. So I don't know why. You know, you suddenly bring that up unless it's to get sympathy to your side, which, I mean, honestly, I don't know why you necessarily need it. Andreas already has a lot of fans and a lot of people that give him credit. It's just that we don't like this particular thing that he's been doing with Ethereum. And I think we can call him out on that, especially if we don't think it's legit. Like the fact that you get called these names doesn't negate the fact that you're, you know, shilling Ethereum.
Right.
That's the problem. Guilty conscience, in all honesty. That's what I was tweeting about. It's like, listen, if you have 500,000 followers, okay, and you give the privilege of even acknowledging that there is people like sort of like calling you stuff on the internet. I mean, come on, right? Dude, just if you don't care, if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, just move on.
And Adam Back replied, and this didn't make things better, just escalated everything, where Adam says, not sure it's an attack to say you were shilling Ethereum. It did kind of look that way, but to be fair, the Mastering Ethereum book is not new. A bad idea in my opinion. What's next? Mastering Tron, Mastering XRP, where does it end? But it's a free world and it's your reputation. So yeah, so that started a little bit of a back and forth between Andreas and Adam.
Yeah, I mean, Andreas is like, well, you know, I've been defending your company. I can't believe you're not coming back and defending me. Well, that's not how this works.
That's not how the world works. Yes.
I mean, he's expecting loyalty from Blockstream because, you know, he's been defending them, you know, against these things. Blockstream doesn't care. Adam's a cypherpunk, man. He doesn't give a shit on whether or not people are saying it's a conspiracy or not. He doesn't need people defending his company. He knows what the hell he's doing. Andreas, on the other hand, feels like people should be defending him, which, I mean, come on, you're a public figure. If you're not comfortable with yourself and defending your position as true just on that basis, then that's the wrong mentality. It's either good because like you actually believe in it, so you don't need to defend it necessarily, or it's bad and you're defending it because you have a financial stake, in which case it's worse. So he's thinking that this is some sort of loyalty game when it's actually not.
Yeah, and look, I do want to say, like, I don't want it to sound like we're talking shit about Andreas. I mean, Andreas has done a lot of good for Bitcoin and this whole community. But here's, and I have a couple of others that I do want to talk about. But before I lose this train of thought, look, Andreas wasn't one of the people that got me into Bitcoin. I did discover him soon after I got into Bitcoin, and I really liked his content. So he certainly helped get me to understand a lot of the stuff in Bitcoin. But he's not the guy that kept me a Bitcoiner for the last 5 years. It was actually guys like Pierre Richard, like John Cavallo, like you, Jimmy Song. So it was the people that he's currently fighting with. Those are the people that kept me on the Bitcoin path instead of, you know, wandering off into shitcoin land.
Yeah, and I mean, he introduces a lot of people. It is weird that he's expecting loyalty from people and like given credibility on something that really doesn't deserve credibility, like ETH 2.0. You know, just because it's him who's saying it. I mean, if you evaluate ETH 2.0 just on what it is, I think it's fair to say that it's a scam. But he wants people to say it's okay because he said something. It's become more political for him in a weird way, which is not the spirit of this thing at all. It's about the technical merits. And you know, I mean, if he wants to go down that political route of, you know, I have more followers and I expect you to be loyal and toe the party line and all this other stuff. The stuff that he's accusing us of doing, this is what he's doing.
This is literally gatekeeper behavior.
Yeah, I mean, this is. He's like, you know, you should just say, you know, you should have my back because I've done good stuff for Bitcoin. That's not how it works. We should critically examine every single thing that you're saying still, because Bitcoin is about verify, don't trust. Not, you know, just swallow whole hog whatever you want to sell it.
It's like it never gets old, right? That like people play stupid games, they win stupid prizes, right? Like, I mean, seriously, it's like Ethereum, it's like a clusterfuck. Fine, you want to write the book for it, you have some hopes for it, but then it becomes essentially scam central, right? What do you do if you're somebody who cares about your image in that sense? Well, you distance yourself from that crap, right? Like you don't partake in the whole sort of scammy building thing. And And he didn't. I think that's the problem. Maybe I just don't see it because I don't partake in the Ethereum stuff. Maybe he goes on conferences and says that most projects are scams, but I don't know. It's just the impression you get from how it is now, it just looks like he partakes in that, right? So that's how everybody else is sort of like reacting to.
Yeah, and I'm really, really careful on that. And you're right, Jimmy, and you mentioned it. You know, if someone is, you know, supporting my show and you know, supporting the work that I do, and somehow expecting me to support their work if I don't agree with their work, like it's not how it works. Like I'm not going to do it. And this is what happens, and this is why you know, it's you have to be careful. And with Andreas, like the more followers you have, the more accountable you're going to be. You at least the community will hold you more accountable. And here's another one. So this is John Cavallo again, right after he got blocked by Andreas, just basically saying, hey, how many people are you like getting? You're helping to drive people out of Bitcoin and into something like Ethereum. And then Pierre replies, Andreas is literally spreading misinformation about Ethereum 2.0 having been released. And ironically, this is one more thing. So this is a blog post that I wrote in 2014 to answer the question, what is the biggest threat to Bitcoin? And my answer was misinformation. This is from 2014, guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ethereum started with like a stupid proposition that any technical person would sort of already agree. But then, you know, it got big, and then all the problems that they were supposed to have that everybody called, they have, right? So much so Abra stopped, like had to pause because shit doesn't scale. And then now we have this ETH 2.0 that never exists. Like it doesn't, like, is it live?
Well, I want to talk about the actual tweet. If you want to click on the picture up at the top.
Yeah.
So we can see it, see the whole picture if you click on the bonus live stream thing. So I want to show people what's going on. All right. So he says more than 1,500 people voted for me to answer questions about ETH 2.0. All right. So what's going on here? Well, Andreas has a Patreon page where if you are somebody that donates to him, you get to ask certain questions and so on. I don't know if that's the venue or if he ran a poll on his website or something like that, but they voted. He put out some sort of a poll and said, okay, what do you guys want me to talk about next on my live stream? And, you know, I guess 1,500 people voted ETH 2.0. The other topics weren't as interesting to them and so on. Now, that's why he's talking about ETH 2.0, because his audience are demanding it. Now, why is his audience that well? Well, the interesting thing is he said that he's independent and that no one is influencing him about what it is that, you know, he's going to say. He's not a paid shill for anybody. But this tweet right there basically says, or the tweet that we saw before basically says, his Patreon supporters will dictate what he's going to talk about and what he's going to publicize. 1,500 of them voted for ETH 2.0. That's why he's talking about it, because there's enough Ethereum people that are voting or supporting him that he's forced to say it. And this is completely the opposite of what he said. He's independent and he's not influenced by money or whatever. He is influenced just by a different kind of structure. It's basically whoever is donating to his Patreon, whoever is voting in his polls or whatever. And that's why he's doing this. And I kind of feel bad for him in a way, because he doesn't want to offend his audience, which is why he's entertaining this stuff with ETH 2.0. Instead of just being like, well, you know, why like that was a trick question or something like that, and say, well, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin instead. This is the position that you kind of get into.
That's a great point, Jimmy, because I didn't actually think about it that way, but you're right, because this show is independent. Your YouTube channel is independent. No one pays me to talk about anything. I talk about whatever I want to talk about. and my audience can suggest it, but I have zero obligation, and nor do I feel guilty by not giving it to them because they're not actually paying to do it. I feel like if someone like does a super chat and pays for a question, I may entertain that question, but again, I don't have to. But yeah, that's a good point.
But hang on, if his money, well, I mean, I don't know about all his investment, whatever, but like a lot of the money that he makes comes directly from shilling Ethereum, right? Like you have an Ethereum book, you validate Ethereum by going to getting paid by Ethereum companies and conferences, right? So like he's directly like being paid by all this stuff. Of course, you're not going to have an honest, or at least you're going to sort of cognitively dissonantly come up with something.
Right. But this is where people like us get accused, because we are Bitcoiners and because some of us get paid in Bitcoin and because all we hold is Bitcoin, therefore we only shill Bitcoin. And
but Bitcoin Foundation is not paying us, right? Is the Bitcoin Foundation paying any of us? No. Right? So
well, the thing is, like, Andreas, I think, made most of his money back when Roger made fun of him like 3 years ago. And I don't know if you saw the tweet thread with John Carvalho, but John was saying, I was insanely jealous of Andreas because really, like, I got attacked by Roger way more than Andreas, and Andreas got like $1.5 million worth of Bitcoin, which is worth a lot more now. And I got like nothing. And, you know, that I kind of get that because I think John got the short end of that stick. And, you know, for some reason, you know, everyone went around Andreas. Not that he doesn't deserve it, because I think to a large degree, Andreas has done a lot to promote Bitcoin, and he's at least added $1.5 million worth of value to Bitcoin, so he deserves it. But in a sense, it's he's gone off the rails a little bit since then, especially with mastering Ethereum and talking so much about Ethereum as if it's you know, a legitimate thing, which I don't think it is. And he's free to debate me on that particular point if he wants. But you know, like, you don't deserve loyalty on Ethereum because you happen to have done well with Bitcoin.
Right.
But Andreas doesn't debate. Andreas stays away from this kind of controversy. And this is what I mean. In 2017, I don't remember Andreas picking any sides. He was just staying neutral, where thank God there were enough people that informed me about the user-activated soft fork and why that movement was so important.
Yeah, there was a lot of whitewashing in the last year and a half, 2 years now, in regards to the big block stuff.
I think it's called orange washing. But
orange washing. Oh, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, there you go. But you know, like I can respect the people who early on that were for big blocks for whatever reasons they did.
Yeah, Rodolfo's gone.
Okay. Well, I was going to read just one more quick tweet. This is John Carvalho replying to Adam Back, or retweeting Adam Back with a comment. This is where Adam Back saying to Andreas that he doesn't really get a pass from him. I think it was a mistake. I think that's the one that similar to the one that I read before. And then Carvalho was saying Andreas's old Bitcoin stuff helped a lot of people, and it's great, but he's literally publishing content to make Bitcoin and its supporters look bad. So just like, okay, so one last thing on this topic. Hopefully Rodolfo will come back because Jimmy, you were saying how Andreas will do content based on what his paying audience will ask. And this was a tweet that I saw last night. And while I was reading that tweet, it suddenly like stopped functioning, which tells me that the tweet was deleted. So I took a screenshot. It was just dumb luck that I happened to have my Twitter open to this Andreas tweet. And he deleted it after about 45 minutes because it was around 9:30 p.m., whatever time zone this was in. And it says, you are holding Bitcoin? If so, here are the options for putting that Bitcoin to work and earning some passive income. And I actually did watch the video. The video is still there. And it's basically Andreas talking about how to earn Bitcoin from holding Bitcoin, basically.
Please share your opinion on specific DeFi contracts or custodian services if possible. Now,
how about at 1.5
what Aaron
speed?
is talking about here is the general idea of making your money work for you. And if you have a bit of Bitcoin sitting around, you really have one option, which is very straightforward, and that is to hold. And if you hold, you hope that there'll be an appreciation of your capital through the broader market forces. But of course, you know, what goes up can come down. You never know how that's going to play out over the long term. The problem with just holding, of course, is that your capital isn't earning anything. It's not earning dividends. It's not earning interest. It may have capital appreciation because the price changes, but it's not working for you. So passive income is when you put your capital to work, and that carries risks. One way you can generate passive income, of course, is to invest in a startup or to invest directly in the ecosystem and wonder why your day trading strategy hasn't worked. There are a few options for lending. There are native Bitcoin options. For example, there's a company called Salt Lending where you can get.
All right, so Salt Lending is the reason why I'm blocked by Eric Voorhees. Because Salt has a scam coin assigned to that project. So this actually bothers me that he's talking about Salt.
A loan, and I believe you can also lend your own Bitcoin to earn some interest. Not sure how good that is. Haven't tried it myself. And as far as I understand it, and this is the key problem, it is a custodial service. So you will be giving your coins to someone else. Another option without giving your coins to someone else is using a decentralized finance contract. And let's get to that.
No. That is completely untrue. I mean, you are giving your Bitcoins to a centralized service. This is where that's just an outright lie. Because it's in custody on an Ethereum contract, so you have to send your Bitcoins to some Ethereum company, and they hold the Bitcoin for you while you trade, and then you can convert back later. But they're a custodian. And actually, Eric Voorhees wrote exactly that, explaining how you get like wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum. So he's contradicting Voorhees there, not exactly one of our fans.
Right, and now he starts to specifically talk about MakerDAI.
DAI, which is a stablecoin, and you could put it in a platform where you could lend out that DAI and earn interest. And there are half a dozen different platforms for doing that in the DeFi ecosystem, including, of course, the actual MakerDAO platform for DAI, which has what's known as a DAI savings system, which gives you interest. So it's basically like a savings account.
All right, I don't want to play this for too much because I don't want to, get my YouTube channel banned or get this video and nailed for copyright. So those are just short clips. He does go on and spend another, like the rest of that video. So between around the 4-minute mark and the 5-minute mark, he talks about all the problems and all the risks of Ethereum and DeFi. So again, this is, I don't know, like I would not have made this video. Guys, hold on to your Bitcoin for dear life, like HODL, that's what it stands for, okay? Man, if you want to, like, you're better off just, putting your money in a CD if you want some income on your fiat. Like, I just think all of this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, he's basically saying, okay, well, here's this DeFi thing. Here's why you might, like, he has like a very weird view of, getting your money to work for you. It's like, no, you're risking your money. It's a casino, basically. And, he does admit that there's some risk, but that whole thing about to lend out Bitcoin in a non-custodial way, that part is just completely wrong. It's custodied by some company on the Ethereum blockchain, and that's where you have to send your Bitcoin in order to quote unquote get it to work for you. If you want to do that, I'd rather put it on BitMEX or something and lend it out that way. Or there's several others that would do that instead of using these like very sketchy, unregulated, completely unknown, and horribly badly incentivized place to store your Bitcoin. So this is just completely wrong. It's the first time I'm seeing this too.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't want to play the whole video for copyright reasons, but it's only 6 minutes. So all these links are in the video description. You guys can go ahead and check them out. All right, I think Rodolfo had to run, but we're pretty much finishing up. People were asking me for about this tweet that Saifedean just retweeted. I have not seen this. It's also from Michael Saylor. To acquire 16,796 Bitcoin, this closed on 9/14. So that's when they said they said they finished it. We traded continuously 74 hours, executing 88,000 trades at approximately 0.19 Bitcoin each every 3 seconds. So that's in order basically not to move the price. But at all times, we were ready to purchase 30 to 50 million in a few seconds if we got lucky with a 1 to 2% drawdown spike.
Wow. That is, I mean, I guess that kind of speaks to the lack of liquidity here a little bit, that he had to do this for $250 million. You know, Tone, that on Wall Street, you can execute a trade like this in like a few seconds if, on all sorts of different products. This is the thing about Bitcoin, is that it is very hard to execute a trade like this without completely moving the market crazily. But now that he's disclosed it, I mean, we've seen a run up, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And this company's stock is doing very well.
Yeah, I wrote a tweet yesterday about how this might be the new strategy to keep the short traders off your company. Just acquire some Bitcoin, and then who the hell is going to short your stock if you have some Bitcoin?
Yep, and Rodolfo had to run. But he did wanted me to show the mini clock, because I think the main clock is like $1,000 or 5,000. I don't remember what it was. But they do have the block clock mini, and I'm assuming this is counting down the number of blocks to the next halving.
I think it might just be the number of blocks since the beginning. So something like this would be over 630,000 since that was the halving one, and every 210,000 blocks is a new halving. And that first digit will certainly be a 0, but the other 6 will be however many blocks there have been ever.
Okay, I'm sure it can be turned into a countdown because you have like control with the apps. But yeah, so check that out if anyone is interested in a block clock mini. Also, I haven't even tweeted this out yet because I've been so busy. I started writing this over a month ago, and it finally published. What is crypto decentralization and why Bitcoin stands alone? So I published this yesterday. I have not even had time to promote it. But yeah, check out this article. Just go to tonevays.com/blog. Go ahead and read it. It's a little long, probably why it took me a month to write it. But I basically try to explain what does the word decentralization mean. And I do my best to do so. So check that out. I'll tweet it out in a bit. All right, Jimmy, mempool. Whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, so this was happening a few days ago, where there would be a ton of transactions that are in the 5 sat range. It seems like there's somebody that is consolidating transactions or something, maybe an exchange, something like that. That's that big blue band that you're seeing in the middle is a bunch of transactions that are right around the 5 to 6 sat per byte mark. And there are people sort of getting ahead of it, which is the teal band right underneath. And there's not as many above it. If you compare it to last week, where it was mostly 1 sat per byte, it's a different sort of mempool that we're seeing in terms of fees. That said, this stuff has cleared overnight for the past many days. We're heading into the weekend pretty soon, so I expect all of this to clear. 21 megs is actually 22.5 megs worth of transactions is actually not that much. You can clear that in a few hours in a typical weekend overnight, and you could probably get 1 sat per byte transactions in over the weekend. If you need to send something in the next few hours, though, you're probably going to have to go in the 10 to 20 range.
All right, so there you guys have it. Jimmy, thank you again for joining. Check out Jimmy's website, programmingbitcoin.com. Jimmy also has his YouTube channel, but I don't think you do much with it these days.
I have a podcast on it that I've been doing. I released a 10th episode, I guess, yesterday. And that one was with Michael Flaxman. But yeah, I'm trying a more free-form kind of thing, and it's published on Apple Podcasts and all these other ones that Anchor gives me access to. So I have a podcast that I've been doing. I'll have different guests that are maybe a little outside of Bitcoin, because it's called Bitcoin Fixes This. But yeah, Programming Bitcoin and the Little Bitcoin book are the two books that I've written. This one is the Little Bitcoin book is more for people that don't know very much about Bitcoin, and the argument for it, not just from, hey, I'm gonna make money off of it, but like what it is and how it enhances human freedom and so on.
All right, there you have it, guys. Check out Jimmy's podcast as well. Bitcoin Fixes This. That sounds like a really cool name, by the way. I hope you have the domain too.
I don't, but I mean, it's just sort of an experiment, right? Like I'm doing it more to scratch my own itch and talk with smart people about different things, and Bitcoin tends to come up in those conversations. So that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, someone owns the domain and it's useful. So hey, whoever owns this domain, put Jimmy's podcast on here. Just like cross-publish it. Like perfect. If you're watching, whoever owns BitcoinFixesThis.com, throw Jimmy's podcast on there. All right. I think that's it. That's it. Hey, let's. I'm gonna be watching my Twitter to see if Andreas blocks me.
No, he only blocks people on Twitter if you mention his name and say something bad about him, which I think is probably smart. It takes less time. But whatever he perceives as an insult, that's usually how it works. I've had people just sort of block me out of the blue without me ever interacting with them. But that tends to be rarer than people.
Yeah, I've been generally respectful to Andreas, and look, he's got a long way to go before he's in Roger Ver territory. It'll be hard for Roger to come back, but Trace shouldn't have a problem. And
well, who gets more shit from you, Trace or Andreas?
Trace doesn't get that much shit from me at all.
Okay.
Though Andreas doesn't get shit from me either. Neither one of them does. Like the Abra CEO gets more shit from me than both guys. We talked about that earlier, and he's actually a Bitcoiner. And we make fun of his company every 6 months because they always pivot. And we talked about it earlier today as well, because they somehow became a shitcoin casino and they stopped the shitcoin casino because of the fees. And I was like, wow, Abra pivoted again.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, I'm not sure either of those guys actually comes back because they want to hold on to this altcoin that they're promoting. In Andreas's case, it's Ethereum, and in Chase's case, it's Mimblewimble, and that's just kind of a non-starter for Bitcoin people. If you are,
but Max Kaiser is back, and he had Max Coin, and he was promoting Cork. And
so he's more or less disowned most of those, and he's.
Well, that's what I mean, right? He Max Kaiser recognized it and disowned it, and he admits it wasn't smart in hindsight, and he's very humble about it. So there's
that's the attribute that I don't know if I see with either guy, because I'm not sure they're able to do that.
You're right. They're too proud to not admit they were wrong.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad. And instead, both of them are relying on, hey, I did this much for Bitcoin. You should back me up when I'm doing this new project, and that's, I think, the wrong mentality, and I'm sad about it.
Right. Now, on the flip side, I will play my own devil's advocate, where people like myself and you get accused for never admitting we were wrong about Ethereum, considering it's still with us. And while it's not $1,400 a coin like it was before.
Well, no, well, I have admitted that I was wrong about a few things on Ethereum. I never thought it would launch. I never thought that that the technical problems wouldn't. I always thought that the technical problems would affect the price. It hasn't at all. I always thought that you can copy it and basically make the same thing and without the pre-mine. No one's really done that successfully. So I've been wrong about a lot of things, and you know, I mean, that's fine, but that doesn't mean I'm going to invest in it anytime soon, because I don't see the value in it, and I don't see its long-term thing. You know, that's obviously harder to prove, but you know, well, I'm always open to having my mind changed. It's just a matter of seeing enough evidence, and I have seen enough evidence to say, okay, the technical flaws of this platform should matter for price. It hasn't, and that's an obvious thing.
Yeah, no, and I greatly underestimated the Ethereum staying power due to the fact they built a platform that rivals anything that has ever existed for your ability to create a scam and scam other people on that platform. And the need for this is clearly still there.
More than you ever thought, yeah.
Okay, guys. This show is longer than usual, but I will cover price. Today is Friday. I don't know what other shows I'll be doing. I would like to take the weekend off, but here we are on a weekly scale. We are smack in the middle between the low for last month and the high for last month. Maybe, yeah, we are exactly in the middle. We're pulling back a little bit here. This is on a weekly scale. This is my no trade zone. Please check out the show last night with Wooly Woo, where we talked about more of the on-chain analytics. We are on an MRI top. The MRI indicator is getting really, really cool with additional features like this. Oh, we are displaying it. Awesome. I just don't see it on this one. Okay, so it's here you get the lower charts. And I am looking for a 1 to 4 candle pullback. I've been saying this for the last 3 days. From the prior candle, when we were making the high, there was a yellow arrow indicating that a top is coming yesterday. And this is giving me a 1 to 4 candle correction. I will probably wait and try to purchase my Bitcoin on a pullback to somewhere between 10K and 10.5K. I can see it going as low as 9, but I don't really see it going much lower than that. Here's the short-term chart. This is the 4-hour chart. These are the amazing new features of the MRI indicator. I'm looking at the 4-hour chart, and right here, you will see that there is a daily MRI top once the indicator loads. And the 4-hour chart is consolidating in this $10,000 range. This is actually pretty bullish. So unless we drop down to that $10,400 mark this weekend, there is a way higher probability that we will go up, in which case I would become a big Bitcoin bull across all time frames this weekend or Monday when GBTC starts trading. And so here with the new MRI, you can see higher level time frames when they are hitting critical levels on higher level time frames. So that D stands for a daily top over these 4-hour candles. And that's pretty much it. I am curious how gold's doing. And gold is on a monthly top. So this could be a more severe correction. We can drop that down to the weekly scale. And we had a weekly top as well. So here's a weekly top and here's the monthly top. So they are kind of in line. And we can drop this down to the daily scale where we might have had a daily top as well. We did not. So there's no daily tops. There's a weekly top in this area, and there's a monthly top in this area. And I do think gold is more likely to pull back. Look, it's a 4th lower swing high. Meanwhile, it keeps bouncing off of 1920 and higher probability that we will drop down to the $1,800 range or lower. And finally, we have the S&P 500. and we are pulling back. This is a horrible looking chart. And this is what may drive Bitcoin down. So this is interesting. So if you look at the MRI, you can see how there is a weekly top right here in line with a daily top, in line with the yearly top. So we're also dealing with a yearly high this entire year. And early in the year, this looked like the perfect timing with the MRI. We have then made a new high because a year is a pretty long time in the world of trading. So the daily chart looks pretty ugly, and it does look like it's ready to drop down based on this pattern. We are breaking the lows of last week, and I am not very bullish on the stock market going into this weekend. I'm about to open up my broker. I'm going to see which stocks I actually hold. Not many, because I was doing my covered calls, which are expiring today. So I will probably go fully into cash this weekend and look to convert that into Bitcoin sometime this month, going into next month. All right, there you go. That's my plan. Other than that, hey, please check out my article. The last time I published something was January. So this is probably the first and only thing I write, because this took up an unreasonable amount of time. This is why we do YouTube videos. But yes, check out what is crypto decentralization and why Bitcoin stands alone. This is my decentralization triangle. Feel free to use this picture anywhere you like. There are no copyrights. So go for it. It would be nice if you give me credit, but this picture is cool and we can have it out there. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will go ahead and leave it here, and we will see you all on the next one.
Fiat Delenda est. This song is done.